What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex, and you're watching the Ragin Ronin review. I got a review for you. I just finished watching Godzilla vs. Kong. And man, it was awesome. I'm gonna just jump right into it. I'm gonna tell you straight up, it was freaking awesome. I gotta tell you straight up that it is the best film out of the 4 films in the Warner Brothers Kaiju universe. There was Godzilla, I think that was 2014, and then Kong Skull Island, I think was 2016, and then Godzilla King of the Monsters, which came out in 2019, and now we have Godzilla vs. Kong, which was actually supposed to be released last year, but because of COVID and all the theater closures, they delayed it to today, which was a theatrical and on-demand release, like a simultaneous release. The theaters in Canada aren't open yet, or at least not in Vancouver, so I watched it on demand, just finished checking it out, and it was everything that I wanted. I swear to God, it was just perfect. Now, I won't say that the movie is perfect. I mean, it has flaws, but for a kaiju film, what do you want from a kaiju film, really? A lot of smashing and bashing and a lot of crazy kaiju action, right? We get so much of that. I think that Adam Wingard, the director, he has really been listening to the fans, and I think that he's been watching the previous films and he tried to find out what works, what didn't work, what the fans wanted out of these movies, and what they wanted to see more of, and then he put it all in this movie. Because everything he did works. Now, I just want to tell you that, and remind you rather, this is a science fiction fantasy film. It is as science fiction and fantasy as it gets. As a matter of fact, when I watched the trailer for this, I thought it was pretty a straightforward movie. Okay, Godzilla vs. Kong. We've established Godzilla's origins. We've established King Kong's origins. We've established that, you know, there's like a sci-fi element surrounding all this, as well as a fantasy element, as described in Godzilla King of Monsters. Okay, this film really puts it into that realm, like for real. Like, it really puts it into the realm of science fiction and fantasy, and the trailer does not give any of that away. Like, it doesn't prepare you for what you're about to see. This movie is action-packed, and it gives me everything that I want in a film like this. And that is a lot of kaiju action. I've seen a lot of kaiju movies as of lately, in the last couple of years, especially with, you know, this Godzilla and Kong universe, and of course the Pacific Rim movies. But I might say that this could potentially be my favorite. Now, mind you, this is a very silly film. Okay? It's very silly in the sense that, how can I explain this the best? It's got this really old school feel to it. And what I mean by that is that, you know, in the previous 3 Kaiju Universe films from Warner Brothers and Legendary, they do a lot to explain the science of things and how things really work, and how things are plausible, all right, in the last 3 films. This one, on the other hand, it lets all that mumbo jumbo take a backseat, okay? And I like that about this film. There's just a lot of, I won't call them plot holes. I don't think they're plot holes, and I refuse to acknowledge these things as plot holes. I'd like to call them cinematic conveniences. I don't care how this technology works. I don't care about the physics about how this works. I don't care about when did this ever take place between Godzilla King of the Monsters and this film. I don't care about any of that. I just care that they just created some plot devices to make it work for this film. You know what I mean? It's very old school in that sense, in the sense that they don't need to explain a whole lot of stuff. There really isn't a whole lot of explanation in this. As a matter of fact, we have actors like Alexander Skarsgård, Millie Bobby Brown, Rebecca Hall, Brian Tyree Henry, Shun Oguri, Asa Gonzalez, as well as Kyle Chandler. Okay, all great actors, all great. This is an all-star cast. However, they really took a back seat with this. And I love that about this film. In fact, their screen time is so low that I'm going to straight up, campaign for Adam Wingard to direct the next Transformers film. Because that's exactly what we needed. We needed the humans to take a back seat, take a step back, and let the kaijus tell the story. And that's exactly what they do in this film. And I would say that the movie has maybe a 20 to 30 minute buildup, okay? And for a kaiju film, especially one that's leading up to a Godzilla versus Kong film, that's more than enough time. That's enough time, you know what I'm saying? Half hour is enough time for exposition and story development. That's all I need. From that point on, just let them fight. Okay, and that's exactly what they give us. After all the exposition, they let them fight, and it's non-stop from that half hour all the way to the very end. It is non-stop, and I freaking love that about this film. And at the same time, we cut to the humans. We give them that little time to shine, but then their contribution to the final objective is still very minimal. And that is so great. And I think that it's done, it's almost done intentionally. Because, honestly speaking, a lot of the human roles, even roles as, characters like Kyle Chandler, are very minimal. You would have expected that he had an even bigger role. Since he had a pretty big role in the previous film, his role is pretty minimal. A lot of these characters' roles are pretty minimal. In fact, the things they do are kind of silly and nonsensical because a lot of people would say, okay, how does somebody like this have clearance and access to these top secret places? They're just going in and out of high security locations and have all this access with no problems. And the thing is that while I did think that during the movie, I didn't care. You know what I mean? And as for all that technology that they use to get them from point A to point B, I just didn't care. I just love that they even had that idea in the first place. The way they execute it doesn't matter to me. It's just that they decided to get creative, and it's just classic old school science fiction. I miss the time when you don't need explanations for everything. And that's what I really loved about this film. They didn't take any time whatsoever to explain anything. They explained just just a tiny bit for you to know that it exists, but they don't need to explain that technology. And that's awesome. Now, let's talk about the fighting, man. Okay, in the trailer that they fight in Hong Kong. And as I'm watching this, I'm thinking to myself, why do they need to fight in Hong Kong? What is the point? What is the purpose of it taking place in Hong Kong? Then I thought about all these other disaster movies in previous years, and then, okay, they're always busting Los Angeles. They're always busting New York. You know what I'm saying? They're busting Chicago. So let's take it to the next most spectacular city in Asia, and that is Hong Kong. And I'm so glad it took place in Hong Kong. And it's only for one reason. All those tall buildings. It's literally a playground for them to just take down skyscrapers. Just like in Pacific Rim. Just like how in Pacific Rim Uprising destroys Tokyo. Was it Tokyo? Yeah, it was Tokyo. Because of all those tall buildings. And it just takes it back to old school when, Godzilla from, Man in the Suit Godzilla days, they're just busting skyscrapers everywhere. If you take it all the way to New York and Los Angeles, there's only one or two or three skyscrapers to bust. You know what I'm saying? Empire State Building, the Chrysler Building, So there's buildings everywhere, and they're just going through the buildings like they're going through walls. It is awesome. And the fighting is so aggressive. You can actually see what's going on. And King Kong has got moves. I really like this one because King Kong has got moves. It wasn't just bash him and there's strategy involved, okay? There's actual tactics, okay? He's been doing some training all those years since Kong Skull Island. So it's just awesome. They did awesome with this film. My only disappointment is that I didn't get a chance to watch this on a big-ass screen. I wish I could have watched this in IMAX. Damn you, COVID! I would have freaking loved to... it just needed to be watched like that, okay? It's a big movie. It deserves that. Anyways, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I think this is the highest score that I've given for any of these films, an 8.5 out of 10. It's perfect to me, but it's not a perfect film you know, in the general sense. There's a lot of flaws in this and a lot of things that are very, 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 very convenient. But I don't mind them at all, okay? I really enjoyed the heck out of this movie. I'm going to watch 2 more times before my digital rental expires in 48 hours or 45 hours from now. I really want to watch it 2 more times, and then eventually I'm going to buy it on 4K Blu-ray, because this is a must-own. Okay, turn down the lights, pop some popcorn, crank up the volume, and just focus. Make sure you turn that phone off as well. This is one of those movies where you want to absolutely just like stay glued to the set. All right, 8.5 out of 10. Go check it out. It's available right now on demand. My name is Alex. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Peace.